I can't believe you sometimes. What the hell were you thinking?
I'm sorry. I didn't think they'd arrest me.
I bet you didn't think his bodyguards would beat your ass either.
No, not really.
Just what were you doing at Keith Richards' house?
You know I've been studying to be a warlock. I was looking for an undead patron.
It's the Warlock subclass, the Undead Warlock, from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, this week on the Dungeon Master's Dojo.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Master's Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your Dungeon Masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today. Scott, what happened to you?
Oh,
He owes me bail money is what happened to him.
yeah. $40 now. It wasn't always that expensive. Back in the 80s, I think it was like $15-20.
As if... I don't even want to count how many times you've called me to bail you out.
I appreciate it every time.
I'm sure you do.
Keith Richards' bodyguards are mean.
That's what you get.
I just wanted a hug.
That's kind of creepy, don't you think?
No, I'm a hugger.
Again, creepy.
He's so frail. He's a lich, I think. I hope you're not still upset, Keith.
Next time, send an email.
I did, as a matter of fact, and he did not respond. So I thought maybe he didn't check his email.
So just showing up at his house was your go-to, huh?
I rang the doorbell, and I thought when the large man opened the door, that was my invitation to go in.
You're not a vampire.
I am not. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bled so much.
But you did get some other emails, didn't you?
I did. Keith Richards, he did not respond
But
to my numerous emails. Nor did Paramount when I emailed them with a strongly worded email about Star Trek First Contact and how it was not in line with Trek canon. They deviated quite a bit. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, one of our listeners, I'm always like really excited when someone that listens to us emails us and tells us, you know, all these nice, flattering things. I'm even kind of excited when we get an email that says like, okay, you suck.
it just lets them know that, well,
Yeah,
we
but
know
at least
people are
you're
listening.
Yeah. So this fella, Sean, he wanted to know about some best practices for bringing new players to the game, making the game more manageable for newbies. And he works with students. So he has aspirations of starting a D&D hobby club come fall, and is spending a portion of his summer really looking into getting that together. So I thought we would we would call him because like Mike, he left his phone number. Yeah. So I am reluctant to show up at his doorstep, especially after the Keith Richards incident.
It's
So I
nice
think
to know you can learn something.
Yeah, a phone call would be probably better. But yeah, we wanted to talk to him, and we're gonna do a DM quick tip on that to answer some of his questions anyway. But I like talking to people on the phone.
Well, let me dial them up,
Yeah,
see what happens.
Especially people that don't expect us to call.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I'm having flashbacks of phone freaking. embarrassing at all.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Sean.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey, Sean, this is Scott and Bill and Lou from the Dungeon Masters Dojo. We're just calling you to say hello. We're recording some episodes tonight, so if you get an opportunity, give us a call. Lou, do you want to do the number? Are you going to press 5 or whatever it is that works?
Was it 5? I wasn't paying attention.
He's at par for the course.
I don't think that worked.
All right, say the number then in the message.
My phone better not blow up because of this.
You can use your editing skill to put the Wilhelm scream over the number and Sean's last name.
I will. We'll just have to send him an email and let him know what our number is.
Yeah. Well, that was a little embarrassing. I was unfortunate that Sean wasn't home. He was probably like, why is this weird number? Because it's probably...
Oh, he's home. He's just screening.
Oh, if he screens it, we're connected.
Yeah, we're connected, and we will...
Hopefully he calls and not somebody else.
Yeah, no, that was his name. Yeah, that was his name, so that's good. So let's talk Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft and the Warlock.
I love warlocks.
Yeah, I do too. I'm quite fond of
I'm just not, well, I can't say I'm not. I think a warlock in Ravenloft is I don't know. Does it seem like it's too much of a good thing?
Yeah, I kind of feel like there'd be heavy saturation in warlocks in the domains of dread and Ravenloft, almost to the point where if you were on Indeed and you were like, I need a warlock job, that there really wouldn't be any because they'd all be taken because there's so many.
That, and if you're a player character, you go to Ravenloft as a warlock and go, wow, this is yeah, I'm home. I'm not leaving.
This is great.
Go ahead, guys. Just fulfill the quest. Send me a postcard. But
I'll hang out.
Yeah, I'm just going to hang for a while.
Yeah, there's I'll get a nice little efficiency or loft apartment and boil baby fat to make flying potions and all those wonderful things. Whenever I hear warlock, I can't help but remember that Julian Sands movie from, it's got to be like the 80s or something, appropriately named Warlock.
This is true. So let's take a look at the warlock, shall we? You made a pact with a deathless being. Well, just
yeah.
It starts off too much of a good thing already. A creature that defies the cycle of life and death, forsaken its mortal shell so it might eternally pursue its unfathomable ambitions. That kind of sums up every Dark Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it screams of Vecna and, other big names in the Lich world, Keith Richards, John Stamos. I should have went to his house. I bet you he's nicer.
Well, he has nicer hair.
He's ageless.
I think he gets dipped in polyurethane once a year. And
yeah, he's like the Dick Clark of.
I was just about to say the same thing. They went to the same gym. I like the expanded spell list. First level Bane.
Yeah,
and I love Bane and False Life, and I'm not talking the Batman Bane, the spell Bane. Second, blindness, deafness, phantasmal force. You can do so much with phantasmal force. Third, phantom steed, speak with dead. Who doesn't want to talk to dead?
Right, exactly.
Fourth, death ward, greater invisibility. And fifth, anti-life shell and cloud kill.
Very ominous named spells, appropriate for a warlock for sure.
Very much so. So I like this little expanded spell list. It works for me.
I think this is a neat subclass for the Warlock, and would be happy to use it outside of Ravenloft. I think it would have a place at a regular D&D table.
I think it would be perceived as a very interesting spin-off to your Necromancer.
Yes.
There's a lot of parties that are dark parties. Whether they follow a dark path or a light path, they're trying to find their way out of the darkness. If this is part of the, like we were looking at the Twilight group to go,
Ooh. Oh, telephone call. Good. Hello.
Hey, this is Sean.
Oh, hey, Sean. How are you?
Sean.
You
Doing great.
You were screening your calls, weren't you?
As a general rule, if I don't know the number, I just ignore it.
I just look at it. They actually left a message of some length. This might be someone important. You were wrong.
Nope, just us.
I sent him a text message.
Oh, did you?
Oh, okay.
Sean, answer your damn phone. How you doing, sir?
What's that?
How are you doing this evening?
I'm fantastic.
Oh, and we are recording. I probably should have said that up front. Are you okay with being on the podcast?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I mean, do you want me to see how quickly you can bleep stuff? Or?
Oh, if you've listened to us, you realize we don't bleep anything.
Yeah.
I get edited heavily, but I don't get bleeped.
So, Sean, you sent us an email, and you have you work in a school?
Yeah, I'm a high school teacher in Wisconsin.
What do you teach?
So I teach shop class, mostly woodworking. I also teach architectural design, some CAD and engineering stuff, but mostly woodworking.
Awesome. And Sean's planning on starting a D&D club at the school.
Kudos.
Yeah, it was something that a couple other teachers and I who are interested in the hobby were thinking about doing, and last year wasn't the most cooperative for that, so it's something we were thinking about doing for this coming year.
Awesome.
I have a quick suggestion. In woodshop, they have to make a gaming table, shape it as a coffin.
We actually did a project. I didn't tell them exactly what it was. I called it a candy dish, but we made dice trays.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice.
We call them candy dishes because it's a little bit more universally acceptable, but here were dice trays.
That is great. So now we know where to go to if we need a new table for our podcasting. We can call Sean. And
yeah, absolutely.
How many stamps do you think it would take to send a gaming table from Wisconsin to Massachusetts?
Hey,
we just got to get a big enough box. I mean, if you remember the whole, if it fits, it ships from the post office. You just got to get a big enough box.
We can drive there from Massachusetts in 17 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what part of Wisconsin. Because that's how long it took me to get to Milwaukee when we
Milwaukee area.
Yeah, because Gen Con was there in the 90s, and I went to between 1990 and 1995 and drove out every single time, nonstop. It was fun.
So, Sean, we would like to be supportive of the of your endeavors to go ahead and start a D&D club at your school. One of the ways we're going to do that is we have a DM quick tip that we're gonna air related to your question, and
that's awesome.
And we would like to send you, for your D&D club, a copy of the D&D starter set and a copy of the D&D essentials kit, if that is okay.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Excellent. We anytime we could get brand new players into the hobby is a wonderful opportunity.
It's pretty much the only way they can make me loosen the purse strings on the account.
Yes, and especially when it's young people, in a school setting, because I always thought there's a lot you can learn from Dungeons and Dragons, and it, oddly enough, it applies, later on in life, and it's a good exercise for the young people to do. So we are going to disconnect you from being on the air so we can get your address. Or actually, can you send your address to Lou, who texted you?
Yeah, I can respond to the text.
Excellent. And we will send that to you straight away. So look for an Amazon package or 2.
That's awesome. That's very generous of you guys. I'm really appreciative of that.
Well, we are a dojo, and it's all about teaching.
It's our way of saying thank you for continuing the hobby.
Absolutely, because nothing survives unless you bring in new members, whether they're older or younger. And of course, the younger groups, the younger people who have an opportunity to stick with it longer and spread the hobby. And it's all about supporting the hobby and supporting the people that are going to try to further it. So we want to thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Sean, thank you very much for taking our phone call. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for bringing in brand new players to the hobby. And thanks for the email.
And thank you for your listening support.
Absolutely.
And be sure to tell all the other teachers they need to listen too.
Absolutely.
All right.
And you can also have them all enter in our giveaway.
Yeah. Have you've of course seen our giveaway, yes?
I mean, I could, but I could also keep my chances as high as possible.
This is true. This is true.
Not that I'm going to think selfishly or anything, but
I like this guy.
Yeah, that would be a wonderful thing to put on the bookshelves for either your own home or the D&D club.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Sean, thank you again. We will not take up any more of your time. Best of luck to you in the giveaway, and thank you again.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, have a good day.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, 2 successful cold calls.
Yeah,
we're on a roll.
Not bad. Maybe I should have called Keith Richards before I went to his house. My nose wouldn't hurt as much.
Fortunately, you're tall.
Yeah.
They got to reach up to hit you.
Yeah, you got me. Well, that's always nice to talk to one of our listeners, and Sean seems like a wonderful person, interested in spreading the hobby to the young people.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy about what he's done, and it's our pleasure to support people, who are willing to do this and step out, and 'cause that's his own time. I mean, clubs. I don't think they get compensation for that. Lou, you're involved in schools. The teachers get compensation for that? I mean, they barely get compensation for their job. So I got to think that they're just doing this on their own time. So
and that's not to detract from any other professions, but that speaks to the type of individual that goes into the teaching profession. There's a lot of dedication.
That's the perfect word. It's dedication.
Yeah, many of them spend extra hours after school doing the same sort of thing that Sean's trying to get off the ground, with clubs and the whatnot, coaching, mentoring. It's a wonderful career field full of wonderful people. So, we wouldn't be here at all, would we, if we didn't have teachers and
cared.
Yeah, that cared.
In my case, they were really tolerant.
But they still cared.
So thanks to all the teachers out there.
Thank you very much.
Doing that.
For your time, your efforts, and your dedication.
So let's talk about warlocks a little bit more. So at first level, you get Form of Dread. Now, if that doesn't sound nice and welcoming, I don't know what does. What it is, you're manifesting an aspect of your patron's dreadful power. As a bonus action, you transform for 1 minute. You gain the following benefits while transformed. So temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your warlock level. Pretty good.
Any temporary hit points are good hit points.
They sure are. Once during your turn, when you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can force it to make a wisdom saving throw. And if the saving throw fails, the target is frightened or frightened of you until the end of your next turn. And you're immune to the frightened condition.
That right there is big.
Yeah.
Especially in this world at first level.
Yeah.
Where everything is frightening.
Yeah. Everything's scary. You can transform a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And this appearance of your form of dread reflects some aspect of your patron. So, for example, your form could be a shroud of shadows, forming the crown and robes of your lich patron, or your body might glow with glyphs from ancient funerary rites, or be surrounded by desert winds, suggesting your mummy patron. That really doesn't blow my skirt up. If that's not dreadful.
The desert winds?
Any of it. If you're going to take on some dreadful aspect of your patron, I would want something really dreadful, like when
you look in the mirror.
This is what it is. This is a hostile work environment, and if we had,
you should be used to hostility.
If we had HR,
I am the HR.
If we had a different HR, I'd be going to HR. For example, a lich, I would want my character, encourage my players for their characters to take on more of a lich-like visage, appearing emaciated, gaunt, skeletal, like really dreadful.
Well, I would take it a step further and not just rely on sight, but rely on the smell of rotted flesh.
Yeah.
The acrid taste that's on your tongue when you get near something that's foul. Go all broke. Every time he talks and moves, it sounds like bone grating on bone. Because there's no flesh to cushion it.
Or leather creaking.
Yeah, just use as many senses as you can and really kind of play it up.
And with the mummy, a face without eyes.
And the smell of wet towel.
And just desert winds.
Well, those are just basic examples.
They
want you to use your imagination, so they give you something to start with.
Flavor it, yes. Players. Flavor it. Because make your character epic and memorable and really enjoyable to play. Go dreadful.
These are the reasons why that person failed their saving throws, now afraid of you.
Yeah.
I just say, oh, gee, there's wind.
Yeah, not because it's breezy out.
Yeah, okay. Or what about the stinging sensation in your eyes as if sand's being blown in your face?
Yep.
So you have a tough time seeing and everything's blurry. Mix it up. Use as many senses as you can.
Or how I would do this, I would use the sands around, swirling around me, but I would, like Bill said, they're stinging my face, and you can slowly see my face starting to peel away. Seeing the layers of muscle and everything else.
How about the howling of the dead?
Yeah.
At the same time.
The Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser comes to mind.
Yep.
Where there is that sinister face in the sandstorm. Something along those lines as well. Maybe those swirling sands. Your face appears in those swirling sands, but it is a sinister face in those sands, much like in that movie.
There you go.
And how I would do it, the person that became afraid of you, this is what they see. It's all thematics. Ham it up.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Hamming it up. Pick your undead. Think about what's frightening about your undead, and remember, vampires are undead as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what is frightening about vampires? I think of the Vampire King in the original Salem's Lot. What was it, like 1978?
Oh, yeah.
That was a scary looking vampire. That was no Bela Lugosi vampire.
No.
There. That was scary.
No pressed tux there.
Yeah, take on some aspects of that. Google it, kids. If
Boris
you're not
Karloff.
Yeah.
Another one you can Google.
And like Lou said, ham it up. Work it. And we've said this millions of times before. Just don't say, okay, take on my dread form. No, describe it. Players describe it. Even if you've done it a few times before, add another layer. Give it some thought on what would cool it up a little bit. And DMs, reward your players for making that extra effort and getting behind their characters.
Or even if, you got a newer player who's learning how to role play, the DM could start him off with a visions and let him start to play with that and then expound on it even more. So the DM should encourage this as well.
You also have a chance here to ramp up the drama quite a bit, because one of the effects there is once during each turn, when you hit a creature, it's frightened of you until the end of next turn. Well, what if that one character is the only one that sees this going on? Everyone else sees a little bit of wind and a little sand, or, he's a little fuzzy, like a thing of fog is passed around him, where the player that is the target is seeing this dreadful thing, and they start reacting to it when everyone's like, whoa, what is he reacting to?
And that's where I was going with
and
this.
That's where the drama starts building, where as these things happen to individuals here and there, it's like, okay, I'm glad he's on our side, because I have no idea what he's doing.
But it's bad.
And these people are freaking out, and he's just sitting there grinning at them.
And DMs, when this victim, for lack of a better term, is frightened, just, don't make it, they scream and like run away, or they scream and they cower. But, think of, as the rest of the party is watching this happen, trying to figure out what exactly is going on, because they are not seeing what this target is seeing. Right. But they notice, okay, the target's hair suddenly turns bone white. That old kind of trick where your hair is scared white. Or they wet themselves.
Yeah.
Or they curl up in a fetal position and begin sobbing.
They go through the motions of screaming, but there's no sound.
There's no sound, yeah.
They're so horrified that they can't even produce the sound, but they have the facial expression of screaming.
Yeah. Describe it, really, really well, the reaction of whoever that target is. Just to get a little interest from the players at the table. Granted, they've probably all got this book if they're anything like us or anything like we've been our entire time playing this game, but still, make the effort to do that. It's not a board game.
Yeah, because all they're reading is surrounded by desert winds.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the book says. No. This is what your victim sees.
But to go a little bit back to what both Bill and Scott were saying, yes, the players may know I'm a warlock, but they don't know what type of warlock I am.
Right.
Most warlocks don't say, I'm a genie warlock, or I'm an undying warlock, or an undead warlock.
Don't even tell you you're a warlock. They figure out you're a caster.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he's using magic, and he's using different kinds of magic, but I haven't quite nailed that one down. I think there's good chance he's a warlock, but I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, exactly. So, just because the players know he's playing an undead warlock, they should not be metagaming. Yes.
And if you're one of the players like me who likes to kind of keep that stuff to your vest pocket. I mean, how long did I play Lady Blackstar? And people still don't know exactly what kind of caster she is.
It took us a while. I think some of us
she's a warlock. But she has a lot of abilities that are not warlock, and so you don't know what kind of warlock she is. And we played that for a good while. I like to keep that in my vest pocket. I don't tell the players, oh yeah, by the way, this is what I'm playing. Figure it out. It's more fun. So let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Let's.
Grave touched. Your patron's powers have a profound effect on your body and magic. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. In addition, once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll and roll damage against the creature, you can replace the damage type with necrotic damage. While you're using the form of dread, you can roll one additional damage die when determining the necrotic damage the target takes. Stacking. I love stacking.
Yeah, it's some pretty solid stacking right there.
Yes, throw some extra dice in there, scare the crap out of them.
So I think these particular warlocks would all have a similar appearance, right? If you don't need
that kind of makes sense so far, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't need to eat or drink, these warlocks would maybe not necessarily be gaunt, but would be slender.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe they would begin to lose touch with the desire to eat, because they perhaps would not grow hungry. They would not have that same desire to consume food, walking into a tavern or something and smelling the food and the drink. Maybe they're not smelling it, or maybe they don't find it palatable, especially the more and more they increase in their warlock levels for this particular.
Well, yeah, this one is at 6th
patron.
level, so you're starting to get a little powerful here, and you've had some time.
And you're getting a little closer to whatever your patron is.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever your patron is, they're dead.
Yeah.
So maybe there's this transformation that's slowly occurring where you're becoming a little bit more like an undead creature.
You go ahead and take this next one. I love this name.
Necrotic Husk. That speaks volumes just in that little title.
Yeah.
And you get this at 10th level. Your connection to undeath and necrotic energy now saturates your body. So you're like a sponge. You squeeze that warlock hard enough,
and out comes dead stuff.
Undeath and necrotic energy. A lot of pus and goo. You have resistance to necrotic damage. If you are transformed using your form of dread, you instead become immune to necrotic damage. In addition, when you would be reduced to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to drop to 1 point instead and cause your body to erupt with deathly energy. Each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes necrotic damage equal to 2d10 plus your warlock level. You then gain 1 level of exhaustion. Once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish 1d4 long rests. So that takes a lot out of you. It's a big maneuver.
It's a big
maneuver. But it takes a lot out of you.
30 feet from you, that's a 60 feet out from side to side. That's a huge area.
It's big, yeah. It's really big.
It's only 2d10 plus your wisdom level, so you could roll kind of sucky.
Well, if you're me, yeah.
I mean, you're starting at 10 points immediately. So you're looking at a guaranteed 12 points.
Yep.
Yeah, you 2d10 plus your 10 level. But you have the potential of doing up to 30 points.
Which is pretty good.
That's 3 hit dice plus.
So with features like this, I see these warlocks being employed by organizations or individuals to hunt the undead because they kind of have these natural protections against the undead. Granted, that may cause problems with the patrons.
Well, it depends on who, well, let's say the patrons don't necessarily get along.
Yep.
Your patron and my patron are looking to get their own following. And if there's less of his, then that means my force is greater.
Yeah.
And there's the gong, so it's time for a break.
Grab your elephant guns and your hunter orange because we're hitting the stars, nerds. It's space dinosaur season.
Head off on a space adventure every week with the Homebrew, a D&D play podcast. Sure, there's lots of actual play podcasts out there. Heck, you can throw a rock and hit a dozen of them. But are any of these D&D podcasts sci-fi campaigns? You can't shake a stick at them because there ain't many, if any. And that's what sets these veteran gamers and their podcast apart from the sea of actual play podcasts.
If you're new to D&D, old gamers like us, somewhere in the middle, or maybe you just like a good story. And who doesn't like a good story? Give the Homebrew, a D&D play podcast, a listen. You can find them on the web at thehomebrewpodcast.com or anywhere podcasts are found.
The links are in the description below.
There's the gong, and now we're back from break. I don't see undead patrons playing sandbox very well.
No, and there's probably a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, with the patrons vying for Lou's making a face.
He's making a couple of faces.
I don't like that feature.
Why don't you like that feature, Lou?
I'm only going to get 1 hit point back, and now I'm going to be at disadvantage for everything after that. So that means if I get knocked down, my death saves are now a disadvantage.
That is true. Yeah.
Yep.
And if there's no one within 30 feet of me, I'm still at 0.
Yes.
Well, why would you unleash that if no one's within 30 feet of you?
It could happen. I could be pushed back and not realize how far I'm out of range. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't think it's worth to go to get 1 hit point back and then be at disadvantage.
I see this as like the end of the combat, and everyone's weakened, and it's kind of like, okay, I know I only have a couple hit points left. I've been brought to 0. Another hit's going to take me out anyways. This is kind of like one of those death throws. No pun, well, every pun intended.
Yeah, it's your swan song.
Yeah, this is kind of like, okay, you're going to take me out. Well, I'm going to take as many of you with me as I can. And you unleash your necrotic husk. I don't see this as like part of a normal combat.
No, I don't either, but
Are you sure you don't? Because area of effect anything seems to be your strong suit.
Hush.
He's just jealous.
No, I don't see myself going into disadvantage to potentially be brought back down to 0, because more likely if they're within 30 feet of me, you are going to be brought back down to 0, and now my death saves are at disadvantage.
But again, you're dealing with 10th level. You're probably looking at an average of 22 points. So you're just shy of 3 hit dice. That's pretty substantial for everyone within 30 feet of you. And again, this is kind of like your last-ditch effort where everyone's already weakened. 22, 3, 4, 5, 6 hit points is pretty big when you've been in combat for a while. You're already down to 0. So you bumped it back up to 1. So which means you're going down anyways. You were already on your way down. So this is kind of, again, it's like, all right, I am going down, but I'm going to take as many of you with me as I can. And this might be just enough to wipe everybody out, and you walk away with your 1 hit point.
Yep. Or at least turn the tide of the battle for the rest of the party. Maybe your barbarian and your fighter just dropped, and everybody's like, at that oh shit moment, where it's like, ooh.
And we had a lot of those. Yep,
yeah.
we've seen them.
Yeah, and it's all how you play it off, too, because it's like you go down, and all of a sudden he just rises back up from the dead and comes out with some beautiful soliloquy, kind of monologues a little bit, and all of a sudden, boom, and people fall down,
and
some of them dead. And it's like, okay, you have 1 hit point, but theoretically, does everyone know you have 1 hit point?
And that is an opportunity for a little bit of awesome showmanship on the part of the character. So do not waste it.
Yep.
So you go down and you're flat on your back. And then if you've ever seen like The Undertaker,
I was about to say the same thing.
All of a sudden just
sits
back up. The enemies are taken aback. Probably the party members who are remaining are equally taken aback and are.
And that's when you start your monologue, to buy time, so
Yeah.
you can get to your feet. And as they start to close, wait till they get within 10 feet or so. Now they're well within 30 feet, and there's more than one of them, and you unleash.
Slowly walking towards them.
Yes.
Your arms outspread, beckoning them to come to you and finish you off.
You can't kill the dead.
Yeah, little do they know.
So at 14th level, you have spirit projection. This kind of speaks for itself. Your spirit can become untethered from your physical form. As an action, you can project your spirit from your body. The body you leave behind is unconscious and in a state of suspended animation. Your spirit resembles your mortal form in almost every way, replicating your game statistics, but not your possessions. Any damage or other effects that apply to your spirit or physical body affects the other. Your spirit can remain outside your body for up to 1 hour or until your concentration is broken, as if concentrating on a spell. When your projection ends, your spirit returns to your body, or your body magically teleports to your spirit space. Your choice. Wow, that's cool. While projecting your spirit, you gain the following benefits. Your spirit and body gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Makes it easier to kind of leave your corpse lying around. When you cast a spell of the conjuration or necrotic schools, your spell doesn't require verbal or semantic components or material components that lack a gold cost. You have a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. You can move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside the creature or an object. And while you are using your form of dread, once during each of your turns, when you deal necrotic damage to a creature, you regain hit points equal to half the amount of the necrotic damage dealt. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest.
Now that's a capstone.
Yeah, that one's kind of cool. Just the fact that you can move your body to your spirit as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah.
Your choice. That is pretty cool
And
right there.
and that paints a creepy picture.
Yeah.
You know, of a body kind of as rigid as a board, just upright and floating at a high rate of speed towards the spirit, and then this abrupt stop, and the body jerks into motion again with breath and movement. I got a question though.
Yeah.
Are you naked when you're in this spirit projection?
No, you look exactly like you do as if but you just can't use any of your possessions.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
Because your
that.
possessions are spirit as well.
I was like, all right, so you're floating around naked. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good time.
Only in your mind.
I think there's more than one, just me, who would think that, you know.
Well, I do now. Thank you. Not. Now, would it be creepier to have the body rigid as a board or flopping around like a corpse?
I think that would be comical.
The head tilted back, the arms just kind of flailing at the side, the legs kind of trailing behind, almost like the anime Naruto kind of run where your arms are always behind you, kind of like flopping in the breeze, and you're just kind of being like something grabbed your chest and just pulled you, and everything else is trailing behind.
Oh, in my mind's eye, in the theater of the mind, I was thinking those inflatable things outside of used car dealerships that are yeah. I was like, that would be comical, but it might also be like deeply, profoundly disturbing to see a body doing that.
Maybe that's why I thought of it first.
Not even that. I just like the part where you could just raise your hand and cast a spell. You don't have to do any verbal, somatic, and for the most part, some material components.
Some, yeah, but not really any that needs to a heavy gold cost,
right?
So, or material components that lack a gold cost. But that's kind of wave your hand and make a little dust or something goofy like that, and off you go your spells. It's a pretty cool capstone.
Yeah, and it appears as though you can use your form of dread in.
That's pretty cool.
All of these you start with your form of dread and use them all. So you throw that in there as well.
It works.
But this one gives you hit points back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're scaring people. By now you're probably looking almost like the younger brother of your patron.
Yeah.
Or sister, depending on whom. So you're looking like an undead, and with your floppy dead body floating through the air. I like this.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. I think it would work really well. You could put this with pretty much any party. I think it would work well with a themed campaign or adventure. I think you could certainly plant that into a standard environment or adventure rather, and it would perform just well, and it would fit perfectly well in that kind of.
Especially if you and your game master kind of connived a little bit, and you told them what you wanted to do, but neither you or your game master told the table.
Yeah,
I'm playing a caster. That's all they get out of me.
And connive with your game master.
Yeah.
Have text message conversations, have phone conversations, and just be like, this is where I want to go with a character. What do you think? Can you work it into the campaign? Can you work my backstory? And in DMs, work with your players.
Yeah, with something like that, you're definitely going to have to, unless everyone's playing something similar to this.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pull this one out of the clear blue sky and say, nope, we're going to be in Faerun, and this is what I'm going to play, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, very, very much so. And it makes almost for a tragic character. What would drive someone to seek out a patron like an undead? What are you looking for? Did you lose someone and you thought by getting these warlock abilities from an undead patron, you may in some way, shape, or form be able to put a stopper in death, to quote Severus Snape, and keep a loved one from dying? Or did you lose a loved one that you want to bring back? Was through your inaction someone lost and you feel regret or guilt? So it turns you to that patron, only to find that you have no control over bringing anybody back, just death itself.
Let me turn up the Darkometer just a touch. It says you made a pact with a patron. What makes you think it's voluntary?
It may not. It may not. It may be.
What if you just in the middle of the night, everything's going perfectly fine, and a shadow steps out from the closet, which never happens, but you're always afraid that it's going to, and holy shit, it just did. And it comes up and, I have chosen you. I need someone, and you're them. No, it wasn't a question.
Yeah.
And you are bequeathed these abilities.
You have to go forth and do something.
Yeah. Not even just why. It humors me.
I would make it so that they want something, and that could be like the overall arching kind of backstory.
They always want something. They never do something just because. They always want something, but you may not know what it is right away.
Right.
I'll let you know when I need you. So there's always that, when is this shoe going to drop?
Yeah, and that makes it interesting for the player, because the player doesn't know. The DM may not know, and you really don't have to
just wait for the right moment.
Right. And kind of unfold that backstory that for that character as the campaign kind of progresses on.
There may have been things that happened in the player's past that they're not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could have been a generation 2, 3 previous that the patron knows about, but you as the player don't. But you were responsible for your ancestors' transgressions.
Yeah.
And this is how you're going to pay them.
They may be so bad that generations have to pay. Well, that's nice and cheery.
Like I said, I just want to crank up the Darko-meter just a touch.
And that's our look at the Undead Warlock from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. See you next time in the dojo. That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.